Hello dear kids, today in this video we are going to start poem number 2 from Flamingo textbook for class 12th. So dear students, as you know, you have to study 2 books of English this time. And first is Flamingo, which is having prose and poetry together. And Vistas is the second one where you have to read the stories only, means the prose section only. So dear kids, in last videos we have completed poem number 1. The name of poem number 1 was My Mother at 66. So if you have missed that video by chance, so please go in the video sections and please watch that video, because the poem is very important from the point of view of your examination. So dear kids, today let's start an elementary school classroom in a slum, which is written by a famous poet and essayist whose name was Stefan Spender. So when we talk about Stefan Spender, he was born on 28th February 1919 and died on 16th July 1995. He was an English poet and essayist, and he was one of the pioneers of the poetic movement in 1930s. He took a keen interest in the social and the political problems of his time, and as a socialist reformer and a pacifist of his time, he questions the value of education and the morals and the ethics of individuals. So in this poem, Stefan Spender, he worked with the theme of social injustice and class inequalities. He presents the theme by talking to different and incompatible worlds, and the world of rich, and second one is the world of the poor people, who are living actually in the narrow lanes and the cramped holes. So the gap between these two words highlight social disparities and social you may say the class inequalities. And in this poem, the poet, he describes the situation of a slum school, which is an elementary school. So this school is located in a slum area, and he wants everybody to increase the standard of, the everyday standard of these slum children through his poem. When we talk about the theme of the poem is plight of the poor children. As I just discussed you, the poem is about the social injustice and the class inequalities, social differences and the class inequalities. So here it is what? It is plight of poor children. Or the second theme may be poverty of the poem. So he wants the life of the poor children to be changed. That's why he is urging in this poem through the last stanza. Actually, in the starting of the poem, the mood of the poet is too aggressive, and towards the last stanza, in the third stanza, we will see he is showing a very aggressive expression, and in the fourth stanza he is requesting the you can say the responsible people of the society to just make the change in the life of these children. Now he wants the poverty to be ended, and social injustice and the class inequalities is the main theme. So poet here in this poem expresses, he gives different, or the you may say the the vivid imageries, and by these imageries, by this visualization, we can also see, or we can also imagine the situation of such children who are living in slum area, who are not getting the basic amenities of the life. When we talk about the tone of the poem is a mix of hope, anger, hopelessness and despair. So we can say in short, the tone is from despair to rebellion. When we talk about the form of the tone, so form, when we talk about the form, it is how it is written. Does this poem is having a rhyming scheme? So I will say no. This poem is having not a particular rhyme scheme, so that means the poem is written in a free verse. What is this free verse, students? So this free verse is what? When the ending words of each line is not matching, that is not rhyming with each other. So that is called poem style of writing. The poem's style of writing is what? That is free verse, right? So the poem is written in free verse, and in all this is having 4 stanzas, and in all the stanzas, the stanza is having 8 lines in each stanza, right? So this was in short in this poem. Now we will talk about the poem. So dear students, I will write here the stanzas, and one by one I will explain all 4 stanzas with the poetic devices and the word meanings. So please keep your book in your hand so that you can write down the meanings also. You can write down the poetic devices used in every and each line wherever it is being used, and you may understand that poet properly. So dear kids, let's see stanza number 1 of the poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. Let's see what does it say. Far, far from the gusty waves, these children faces like rootless weeds, the hair torn round the pallor, the tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper skimming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted unlucky heir of twisted bones, reciting a father gnarled disease. His lesson from his desk at the back of dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. His eyes live in a dream of Squirrel Game, in tree room other than this. So dear kids, this was stanza number 1 of the poem. So here, dear kids, Stefan Spender is describing the students who are studying in the slum school, right? So let's see what he is saying. I have written here the word meanings, okay, whatever is here in this stanza number 1, and then I have written here the poetic devices also which are being used in this stanza. So let's see first the explanation of the stanza, and the first line says, far, far from the gusty waves. When we talk about this word gusty, gusty means what? The breezy, right? So far from the gusty waves. Here the poet wants to say the children who are reading in the slum area or in the slum school, they are not getting the environment which other children are getting who are living in the areas like city areas, town areas, and the people who are, and the children who are belonging to the rich community, right? So far, far from the gusty waves. This line means, this line is telling that these are the children who are far, far away from all the basic amenities, like who are not getting the healthy environment, right? So this is the meaning up to here. These children faces. Now he is telling here about the faces. Now he is describing the children, that these children faces, how they look like rootless weeds. So here in the second line, in the first portion, he is telling that the children who are living in the slum area, their faces are like rootless weeds. When we talk about weeds, weeds are the unwanted plants, right, which are not welcomed by society. So here these children are also being compared to rootless weeds. One thing, see, 2 points are here. One is they are beads, right? And second, they are compared to rootless weeds. Means they are not at all welcomed by the society. Okay, so what he is saying, that these children are away from the healthy environment. They are not getting the healthy environment. And the second, he is telling that the children are like rootless weeds. The hair torn round their pallor, right? They are not properly, they have not done their hair properly and neatly, right? They do not comb their hair properly, means they do not take care about their hygiene, because they are going to school. So they should be ready, no, they should be properly dressed up. But here these children, they not even combed their hair. And what is the meaning of pallor? This word pallor I have written on the 6th number. Pallor is what? Pale face, because they are not looking energetic. And why they are having pale face? Because they are not healthy, they are malnourished, right? So that's why their faces are, their pallor means they have the pale faces. So this is written in these first 2 lines. When we talk about the third line, here now he is describing the children. He has taken 4 children of the slum areas class, and see what he is telling, because he has written this poem with the vivid imageries. So he is forcing us to imagine, to visualize the situation of the children who are studying in this classroom. So in this third line, the tall girl with her weighed down head, he is describing at first number a girl who is a tall girl, right? And she had weighed down her head. She did like this. She had weighed down her head. She bent her head. Why? Because she is burdened due to poverty. She is not properly nourished, right? So that's why she is feeling shame that she is poor. She has to live in such a society. So due to the weight of poverty, she had weighed down her head, right? And next, the poet is telling about another boy who is the student of that class, and he is comparing the boy, the paper seeming boy. The paper seeming boy means what? It means paper, how thin the paper is. So he is telling the boy here is also very thin. He is a paper seeming boy. The boy is looking like a paper, means he is very weak, he is very thin. And the same boy, he is comparing with his eyes, he is comparing with the rat's eyes. See, this is very excellent line he is using here, that the paper seeming boy means the boy is very thin and he is having rat's eyes. Rat's eyes, why he is using here? Because whenever you see this rat in your home too, his eyes always busy in searching for food. Now why this boy is having rat's eyes? Because he is paper seeming boy, because he is not getting proper food, he is not getting properly nourishment, right? So that's why his eyes is always searching about the food. Moreover, you can say the boy is malnourished also, because whenever you see the picture of malnourished children, so what happened? What do you see? They have bone like structure and their skin peep through their bones, right? And their eyes also, that look, only eyes you can see, and the bones also, the ribs also you can see, the bones also you can see. So that's why also he has used this word with rat's eyes, means the boy here also is not properly nourished, he is malnourished, right? Now the third boy, he is telling here, the stunted unlucky ire. This is not higher, this is ire. What is this? Ire. So the stunted unlucky ire of twisted bones. Now the third student to whom the poet is expressing here, he is telling that he is having the stunted. Stunted means what? Stunted means not fully grown, whose growth has been stopped, because he is also malnourished, right? All the students who are studying here in the slum area school, all are malnourished. So the stunted unlucky heir. Stunted unlucky heir means another boy is sitting there in the class who is whose growth has been stopped. Unlucky heir of twisted bones. Twisted means what? Twist. Twist means to bend, right? Not knotted type of something. So he is having the twisted bones. Like it may happen that due to polio he is having, because the people who are suffering from polio, now it has been stopped in India and everywhere. But you know, that was the problem, because the poem was written in 1946, right? So that time it was a problem. So he got the problem of this twisted bones. He is actually disabled, right? Physically disabled. So reciting the father's gnarled disease. Here G is silent and the word is the pronunciation, the diction of the word is gnarled. N-A-R-L-E-D. So gnarled means what? Gnarled is knotted, right? His bones are, he got a disease where his bones are knotted, right? Not properly grown. So when he is describing the second boy of the class, he said that his growth has been stopped because he is the unlucky heir of twisted bones. What is heir means? Heir means the successor. So he has got this disease from his father. He inherited disease from his father. His father should have given him the basic amenities at least, but because of poverty he is not able to give him the basic amenities. But he has given, the boy has inherited what? This disease from his father, right? So this he wanted to say, and he is describing that he is unable to walk, right? Because he is physically disabled. So he is unable to walk because he had got twisted bones. So he is reciting his lesson from his desk. He is unable to walk, he is unable to move, and that's why he is reciting here his lesson from his desk. At the back of the dim, one unnoted. Now once again he is describing another boy, means the third boy of the class, right? First boy, that the paper swimming boy. Second is that the boy who is the heir of the twisted bones. And the second one is what? Third one is the young and the sweet boy who is not at all caring about whatever the activities are going within the class. He rather wants to just enjoy the nature outside, right? So let's see what he is saying. At the back of the dim class. Now why the class is dim? Because we are reading about elementary school classroom in a slum, right? So you may visualize the situation and that particular environment of that slum area, that how that classroom can be, how that looks like. So he's at the back of the dim class, one unnoted, because he is youngest, right? It is given sweet and young, that he is the young boy and he is not visible because he was sitting at the back of the class, because there is not proper electricity, right? No light is there, so he is not noticeable by anyone. So sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream, right? He is not willing at all in the activities which are going in the classroom, but what he wants to rather, he want to play the squirrel game. A squirrel is, because he is sitting near a window and a squirrel is playing game. The squirrel is entering in a hollow tree, and it has the home there in the tree. So the boy, he is busy watching that squirrel game, and that's why he also want to enjoy that game, right? So here you noticed that the poet has described that the students who are living in this classroom, who are studying in this classroom, how poorly they are behaving. They are actually, they are not behaving, but they are, because they are not getting, they are from the society, from the group of society who are not welcomed, right, who are very poor, who are underprivileged. So that's why he is describing these 4 children here in this class. So very first he is describing a tall girl who has weighed down her head, right. Second, why she has weighed down her head? Because she is burdened with poverty. She is feeling shame on her that such a tall girl she is, right, and she is sitting with in that classroom. She is actually fed up of all this system. And the second one, he is telling about the paper skimming boy who remains always in the search of food, right. And the third boy is the unlucky heir of the gnarled disease from his father. And the fourth one is the young and the sweet boy who is not at all worried about the activities going on in the class, right. So this is how he has described the students. Now when we talk about the poetic devices, which are very important, so in the first line you can say here far far. See, far far, when the repetition of the same words, when the repetition of the same words is there in the line, so here he has used far far, means twice he is using, it may be 3 times, it may be 4 times, but here the same word is written twice, right. So this poetic device is known as repetition. Please check the spelling, it is R-E-P-E-T-I-T-I-O-N, it is repetition, right. Now in the same line here, far far from, far far from, so I have written that here, far far from, one poetic device here in these 2 words, far far. Now the second poetic device is in far far from. Here what you are noticing, that the far, F, here also F, and here also F. So sound of F, that is what? Consonant. When that repeats, right, in the starting of the words, that is known as what? That is known as alliteration. So here in the first line itself, when we are studying this far far from, in these 3 words we got 2 types of poetic devices. Number 1 is far far, that is repetition of the same words. Second one is far far from, that is F sound is being repeated, and that is what? Consonant. And when this consonant sound is being repeated in the starting of the words, that is known as alliteration, right. When we talk about the second line of the stanza, that is having like rootless weeds. Now whom he is saying like rootless weeds? These children faces. So he is comparing the children with rootless weeds, right. So the comparison, when the comparison is being done by using words like and as, so that is known as what? That is known as simile. So here like rootless weeds. Why? Because he is comparing the faces of these students with rootless weeds, because they are unwanted, unwelcomed by the society, right. So that's why they are not taking care about them at all. So like rootless weeds is what here? Simile. So it is what? Simile is what? It is the comparison, when the comparison between 2 things is done by using words like and as, right. Next, when we talk about this third line here, so the paper skimming boy, she has the tall girl weighed down her head. Here also weighed down her head also, that is also one poetic device. That is what? Imagery. I have written that at 6 point at number 6. So weighed down is what? Imagery. We are visualizing the situation of the girl, that how she is sitting in the classroom. So that scene we can visualize, right. As I have told you in the poetic devices, that imagery is related to our 5 senses, right. So here we are visualizing. So that is what? That how that girl is sitting. When we read this full stanza, we can just create the picturization in our mind, that what and how, in what situation they are sitting. So when we have read the tall girl with her weighed down head, so that situation, that scene comes near in front of your eyes. So that is called visualization, right. So here in the weighed down head, it is what? It is what? Imagery. Now, we were talking about the paper seeming boy here. So the paper seeming boy is what? This boy, the first one boy, he told that the paper seeming boy with rat size, right? So what he's telling here, he's comparing that boy that he is as thin as paper. So comparison of the boy is being done with the thin paper, means paper, right? So that is what, when we are comparing two things without words like and as, that is known as what? That is known as metaphor. So when we are talking about this paper seeming boy, this is a metaphor. Clear? I hope you understood. Here the comparison of the paper and the boy is being done. Like the boy is looking as thin as paper, but he is not using as and like words. Okay, comparison is there, but as and like are missing. So that is not simile, that is called metaphor. So paper seeming boy is what? Metaphor. Now gusty waves in the first line here, from the gusty waves. Gusty waves is what? That the healthy environment, energetic waves, or the breezy waves, right? So the gusty waves is what? Once again, metaphor. It is why metaphor? Because the students of this class, they are not getting the healthy environment as the other children are getting, right? So that is why this is once again what? Metaphor. This is again the comparison between two situations. One is that group, that word where the rich people of the society are living, and the second word is for these slum children. So here also comparison is being done with the two words gusty waves, that is what? Metaphor. Next, I discussed this way down already with you, and next word is reciting here. So the boy with the twisted bone. So this reciting is what? Reciting is pun. P-U-N, pun. Pun is what? When we are using the words, some words which we are using here, they are having both type of meanings, figurative also and literary also. Let's see how. Reciting is what? Recite means to read, right? Like we are reciting this poem. So that is what? We are reading that. So that is what? That is the literal meaning of reciting. But figurative meaning is that he is inheriting, he is repeating, he is revising that disease which his father has given him, right? So that is what? That is the figurative meaning of that. So that's why reciting is being used as two meanings here. One is literal and one is figurative. Literal is means to read, and figurative means to repeat, to revise. Okay, and next the last one is here, the squirrel game. This squirrel game, which is the third boy, the young boy and the sweet boy is looking outside. That is what? Squirrel game. So let's see, squirrel game is a symbol. Why it is symbol? Because squirrel game is something that is helping this young and the sweet boy to escape from that reality, right? He wants to do something different. He is not willing at all to go with the same class. He wants to do something else. So that's why he is hopeful in that squirrel game. So what is that symbol? Why? Because this is something that is helping the boy to escape from the reality. So these were the poetic devices. We have done 8 poetic devices in this stanza, and we have written here the words also. We have discussed the words also. I hope you understood this stanza number 1. So the stanza number 2 we will do in our next video. Thank you very much for today. I hope you understood. The poem is very important. It is not difficult. Only you have to listen the explanation, and you have to work on the poetic devices and the word meanings. The rest, it is very simple. Okay. So thank you very much for today. Please note down, take the screenshot of this. Please note down the word meanings and the poetic devices. Thank you very much, and stay healthy and stay safe.